Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody for the Sonshine Stamp Company design team. I am here today with a Project Life spread for you. Last project I did was December 5th. If you missed that one, make sure you go check it out. It is on the blog as well as in my playlist under Sonshine Stamp Company design team. So make sure you go back and check that out. But that was a 12 by 12 layout. I'm continuing with my Christmas theme here since we are in December and I love December. But I'm going to be doing a Project Life spread for you today using last year's Christmas photos. So these photos are of Christmas Day and right after Christmas Day. And I've just kind of got a variety of photos here. The top row is Kaylin and I playing Battleship, which is a game he got for Christmas. It is also of me holding my nephew Finn. He was just a couple months old here in this picture. The middle row is of Ernest and my brother-in-law, as well as Ernest and my older sister. And then the bottom row is of Christmas morning where we're opening presents. We're sitting in my mom's living room. You can see the stockings all hanging, and there are a bunch of them. It just looks like a mass row of stockings. And then there's just photos of the whole family. It has everyone that's there in all of the pictures. So it's just kind of a span of the room on the two different sides of the room. So I just really wanted to make sure I included that at the bottom with having everyone that was there on Christmas morning. The very first thing I'm doing is, and I do this exactly the same every single time, I lay out all of my photos. I put white 4x6 cards or paper in the pockets that don't have a 4x6 photo, and then I use different colored pattern papers or cards for my middle 3x4 slots. And so that's just the very first thing that I do. And then I start embellishing. So to give you a little bit of information about what products I'm using, I'm using some October afternoon products. I'm also going to be using miscellaneous other little things here and there, which I'll try to point out as I pull them out. Most of the papers here, though, actually all of the papers here are from October afternoon, just miscellaneous little collections that I had. Most of them I think were gifted to me in different racks, but I also purchased a few of them. So if I know what collection they're from, I will let you know, but most of them are just from various Christmas collections that they had. What I do in my 4x6 pockets are that I leave the white border on my photos, and if I don't have a 4x6 photo, I put a white 4x6 card there just to keep the consistency throughout my album. And then the 3x4 pockets, I use different colored cards. I don't put white cards there. I use all different colored cards, and then I round all of the corners. That way it's just consistent throughout. I'm one of those obsessive compulsive people that I don't like seeing squared corners behind a round cornered card. I don't mind mixing them on a page, obviously, because I'm doing it here, but I want the back side to also be the same, either squared or rounded corners. So that's just kind of what I've done this whole year. The very first stamp set that I'm going to be pulling out here are the Lisa's Letter stamp set. There are two beautiful alphas in the stamp set, in the stamp company shop, so make sure you go check that out. This is the smaller one, and this one, though you could definitely use both of them for Project Life, this one is the one that's less than an inch tall. It just fits a little bit better, longer words do on a card if you're going to be using that. I just stamped it with some paper tray dye ink here. It's in Smoky Shadow, and I put it on some white cardstock, and so I'm just going to put the word holly on this card that I've already put jolly on, so it says Holly Jolly. Just creating a filler card here, and then I made a little bit of a banner on the end of that white piece of cardstock that I used. I don't always have a ton of filler cards, and sometimes I have all 4 filler cards, but I actually have a good amount of photos on this spread. And then I'm going to use that blue card that has just like notebook paper almost. That's going to be my journaling pocket. Everything else is pretty much just going to be embellishments. So I'm pulling out some square tile alphas here, and these are from Rosie's Studio. They're just the mini statement stickers, and I'm going to write Christmas, so it's going to say Holly Jolly Christmas. Now, if you have been watching my channel, or if you're from the Sonshine Stamp Company blog, I am using the same products this month in all 3 of the projects that I'll be doing for the blog. I kept them out and kind of kept them all together so I can just have a little bit of consistency on what I'm using, so that if you are following along, you'll see that I'm using kind of the same thing. And as I mentioned before, I'm just primarily scrapbooking Christmas photos this month for my Sonshine Stamp Company post. I just am in the Christmas mood and I don't print my photos immediately. So I don't have photos from this year yet, but I do have photos from last year that I have not scrapbooked. So this is fitting that I am using these. Now the second stamp set that I'm pulling out to use is the calendar stamp set. This is one of those like necessity kind of stamp sets in my opinion. I have to have this one and I use it all the time. It's a calendar stamp set where you can create your own calendar, and it has a larger size and a smaller size. But what it also does is it has the numbers 1 through 31. But you could also kind of use some of those numbers together to create a year. So like I use the number 20 and the number 15 together to put 2015. So it says Holly Jolly Christmas 2015. And it's very tiny. You will see that in the still photos at the end of this or on the blog if you would like to see a little bit more up close. But I just made it on a little banner, like on a little banner that I had cut out just to have the year. So this is Holly Jolly Christmas 2015. Now I'm going to cut apart this journaling card, and it's just a decorative one from October Afternoon, and it had North Pole tracking and delivery, and it had like recipient and all that on it, but I cut off the North Pole tracking and delivery, and then I'm going to put just a little bit of journaling, and I'm putting game, battleship, a hit, because first of all, Kaylin loves this game, and I didn't even realize it. He plays it when he's at the Y back in the kids area. So if Ernest is working and he takes Kaylin and puts him back in the, he's too old for the nursery, but they have like a little kids area where they still watch the kids, but they have a little bit more freedom to run around and do what they want to do back there. So one of the games that they have back there is Battleship, and I didn't even know he knew how to play it till he got it for Christmas, and this kid like beats me in the game. Talk about a hit to your confidence level there, you know, but whatever. Kids do that to us, I suppose. I am pulling out the third stamp set that I'm going to be using on this layout, and that is the Planner Basics stamp set. This, again, if you've been watching my channel, I have some very commonly used stamps that I have from Sonshine Stamp Company. Now, I love them all, but there are certain ones that I use like in every layout that I do, and Planner Basics and calendar stamp sets are pretty much those two. I use them in just about every single layout that I do, just because they're so versatile. I feel like you need them. I feel like there are some very basic necessity type stamps. So if you are on a limited budget or don't have a lot of space to store things, these two stamps would be ones that I would highly recommend that you buy if you have to limit it to just a few. Again, that's Planner Basics and Calendar, and I'll make sure that I'll link those stamp sets in the description box below, and then make sure you go check out the blog too, because I will have those linked in the shop as well. And they're also smaller stamp sets. They're not like giant ones, so they're easy to store, which is really nice. They definitely fit in the Avery L pockets, stamp storage pockets, if you use that storage system. Pulled out a little bit of ribbon. I just needed something on this one because this photo is small. It was a 4x6, but it was in not horizontal, but portrait. Yeah, portrait orientation or vertical orientation. And because I only use the Design A page protectors in my project life, I had to shrink it down and print it at a 3x4 size, which actually works out perfectly because it just gives a little bit more variation in my layout as well. So I had my Freckle Fawn kit from November still sitting out on my desk. If you follow along my channel, I do a kit review series, and that is the kit that I reviewed for November, but I had a lot of it left. So I still had that sitting out, so I'm just using a few little elements from that as well, with like this washi tape, the silver washi tape. Now I took another stamp from the Planner Basics stamp set, and it's just this little geotag. So I cut it out, I stamped it out on some red just scrap pattern paper, and I cut it out, and then I'm putting on this banner at Grandma's. So it's just like geotag, like where are we? We're at Grandma's. Another little piece that I had cut out and put on that bottom photo is another part of that North Pole tracking and delivery 3x4 card, and it says scheduled for delivery, date December 25th. It actually says 2012, and I don't catch this till a little bit later, which I will go back and stamp 2015 again with the calendar stamp set and cover off that 2012. And then it says time all day long. That's what I wrote on there. I'm using another little banner from the Planner Basics stamp set, and I'm just journaling out oh hello, because Finn looks a little startled, like what? So I just did a tiny bit of journaling up here and just wrote out oh hello, just to kind of give a little bit of a um, story, I suppose, behind exactly what is going on in this photo up at the top. Now I'm just kind of going around. This is how I do my project life. I don't work on one card at a time. I work on the whole thing. Now I know a lot of people who do process videos kind of zoom in for you. I can't zoom in. If I zoom in, you're not going to see what I'm doing because I go across the entire page. I keep all of my supplies out on my desk. If only you could see the rest of my desk. It's kind of funny that you can't because I know what is going on outside the view of the camera. I have a pile of things all around me, and you can kind of see it creeping in on the sides of the video, but I always have a pile of things on my desk. Looking at my desk right now, it's not even scrappable at the moment, meaning it's got so much crap all over it. Not crap, they're beautiful supplies. So much beautiful stash supplies that I can't even scrapbook on it, which is why I decided to go ahead and get these videos up and ready because, I can't scrapbook at the moment till I get some stuff cleaned off. And these layouts are sitting there on my desk. I hope I'm not the only one that kind of works in a little bit of disarray, I suppose. It's beautiful. I'll get it all cleaned up and it looks really nice and neat. But then after I've scrapped a few layouts, it looks like a disaster zone again. But that's just, I guess, we're going to say that's my creative juices flowing. We'll go with that. Right, I'm working on my journaling card and I'm just very simply decorating it. I'm putting a little bit of that same white ribbon here at the bottom. It just looked a little plain to me. So I added a sticker at the top that says family, and then I'm going to come back in a little bit and add some brads as well. I'm going to add a few brads around the entire layout, and those are actually going to be from October Afternoon Silent Night Designer Brads. And I'll read you my journaling. It says family. Christmas 2015 was celebrated with family and lots of laughter. This year we had a new participant, Finn, and the other boys are just growing like weeds. Even though we are at Grandma's house for the day, Santa found us at home first. So this year we actually stayed at home for Christmas Eve night, opened our presents at home, and then went to my mom's house and were there for the whole family celebration. I believe we got there by noon, so it wasn't like we got there late. We're kind of early risers. Not that I enjoy that, but we are a little bit of early risers now. We've just gotten into a habit of waking up a little bit earlier. So it kind of gives us the ability to be at home for Christmas morning and then go visit my mom and my family. They're about 3 hours away, so it's not a terrible drive. We can definitely do it. And then we get to enjoy a whole nother round of Christmas with the family. I'm adding this sticker that says joy to the world, and then I'm going to pull out my brads here in just a moment to do this. And at first, this is where I realized it says 2012. At first I wanted to try and take the one I had already done off. Then I realized, oh no, I used Tombow Mono and you can't take that off. Once it's dry, it's there. So I'm going to go ahead and just stamp out another one on a little piece of white cardstock and make a little banner again to cover up this 2012 on this other little die cut thing that I'm using. And this is where I'm realizing, okay, I had to pull out my stamps again and get it stamped out. And I'm just doing the exact same thing, very simply. And that again is why I really love these calendar stamp sets. You could create your own planner if you wanted to, because it's got the days of the week, the months of the year, the dates, the individual numbers, so you can pretty much stamp out whatever number you want. And then also a couple other little words as well. It's a really good one. Just getting this done, and this is we're nearing the end of this layout. There's not a whole lot more that I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out my brads, as I mentioned before, and kind of scatter those about, and then I'm going to kind of look at it overall and see what else needs to be added. This is definitely my normal process as I go throughout my project life. I'm going to leave the two black and white photos. Those are going to stay just black and white. There's not going to be any embellishments on either one of those. Those photos had a lot of color going on in the background and the lighting wasn't the best. So making those black and white kind of toned it down, and then it also keeps the layout from being quite so busy if it has some black and white variations of photos in there as well. My parents' house has a lot of wood and natural colors, like there's rock fireplaces, there's wooded floors, there's like wooden beams in our living room, so it just kind of adds a lot of darker and more yellow toned colors to the photos, and so sometimes that can make it difficult whenever you have a lot of different colors like that going on. And I'm just adding a few little brads here. I actually added a lot. Let's see, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4x6. There's actually 6 brads on this layout, and those are all from that same October Afternoon Silent Night designer brad set. I have brads in my stash. I really like using them, but I don't typically pull them out. I don't know why. It's just not the first thing that comes to my mind. I'll usually pull out enamel dots before I pull out brads, but I really like the look of brads, so I'm trying to make more of a conscious effort to pull out those types of products. I also really like to use sequins kind of the same way that I use enamel dots and brads. So I have a little bit of everything in my stash, so I'm not really limited. But because I'm not really limited, I find that I use things less often, which is another great reason to use stamps, because that's one of those things that you keep in your stash, and sometimes we forget to use them, which is really unfortunate, because stamps are one of those products that kind of keep on giving. They don't run out unless you like rip your stamp or something, but that's not a common thing to happen. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's layout, and stay tuned. We'll have more up for you soon. All right, guys. Bye.